Good morning. Who's feeling a little Irish today? It is week 4 of As Luck Would Have It. There we go. Let's see if I can get that focused in. And we're going to be doing the shoe fly. And I don't know if all of you have done that. This is going to be the first time I'm making the block. And we're going to assemble it. And this is what our symbol is going to look like right there. And we're making 4 of these today. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to show you what you should have to finish it up. Here's all the fabric we have left. This will make our blocks right here. And that's for the finishing. All right, let's get started putting this together. We're going to make 4 total blocks. I'll make 1 and then you guys can make the rest and then we'll put it together. First thing you want to do is mark your block. So I'm taking my 1/4 inch on this ruler and I'm putting it on caddy corner along the block here. And then I'm going to mark on the right hand side of the middle. And I'll show you here when I get done. Just like that. I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to do the same thing again. Find my 1/4 inch from the middle of this edge here. So this is the middle, these 2 points right here, and you go 1/4 inch. If it's easier for you to go down the middle with your ruler and mark it, then do that. Whoops, let me get a different color here. If it's easier for you to go down the middle and mark it and then go to each side, then do it that way, because then you can always just put your ruler on the mark you just made, which is 1/4 inch from over and then draw your line, because we're going to sew on this line and we're going to cut on this line. So mark all of those squares, and these are the large squares, by the way. Alrighty, I put 1 pin just to hold the fabric down, because you know how your fabric slips. Unless it's flannel, then it like adheres to it. And then I'm just going to sew on the solid line here, because we will be cutting these blocks down, just in case you didn't know that. Fort Worth Fabric Studios always has us make a good generous size half square triangle so we can cut it down and get it correct. You can chain stitch these, and in your case you can just chain stitch all of yours. I'm just doing it to enough to make the 2 blocks, and that's it. I'll go back and do all the rest off camera so we can save time. So when we put it together. Everybody excited about the next project they're going to have for us? You pretty well know it's already in the works. They about finished one and start another. I don't know what the name is yet, but we'll find out here shortly. So don't worry if yours isn't perfect, because like I said, we're going to be cutting this down, so don't panic on it if it's not exact. That's a good thing about cutting down a half square triangle. You can always get it on there a little wonky, but in the end it'll cut out right. So we're going to go ahead and cut these now. You can cut it with your ruler, your rotary cutter, or you can cut it with a scissors. It doesn't make any difference. Whatever you've got on hand, whatever you feel comfortable with when it comes to cutting. I just usually do the rotary cutter. There we go. Now we're going to iron them open, then I'm going to show you how to cut them to size. Alrighty, if you have a lock block, you can use that tool. If you don't, because you're new and all you have is just your regular rulers, get you a square ruler. It doesn't make any difference what size. You need a diagonal line going across your ruler, because what you're going to do is you're going to line up, and I'm using the regular mat, and then I will use a moving mat. So just line up your fabric. We're going to make this a 3.5 inch square. As you can see right now, it is almost a 4 1/4. So I just go down here to about 3 3/4. What you want to do is you want to do, without picking it up, do 2 sides like that. Rotate your fabric. And now you're going to put your line diagonally down here. You want the 3.5 inch. That's where you're marking it. This ruler has these little arrows going on each side of the line, so that helps us out. This is a Creative Grids ruler, and it has the 1 1/4 mark on it. So we're going to go down to 3.5. I'm thinking halves. And now we're going to hold the ruler with part of your hand off the ruler and part of your hand on it for stability, and do that side right there, and there's your 3.5 inch square. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put my rotary mat up here. I have a couple of different ones. This is the one I'm going to use for this demonstration. I'm going to put this on here, see how it rolls. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing, and you can use your lock block or your regular ruler. So I'm putting it on here, and I'm going to go ahead and cut 2 sides just like this. Before I pick up my ruler, rotate it, and then go to the 3.5 mark, which is down here. And I try to keep my lines on the fabric. And then just cut it, rotate it, and cut it again. And there's my 3.5. Okay, that's all there is to it. Now let's do all of our squares. Alrighty, before we sew it, it looks like this. We'll do the top row, the middle row, and the bottom row. And we'll sew the first 2 pieces on the left. We'll sew these 2. We'll chain stitch it and sew these 2, and then these 2, and then we'll put them together. This way we can chain stitch it, and it'll be a lot faster for you. And I'll do the 1 block. There you go. We're going to do the top. This is the middle. And this is the bottom. Alright, so now we're adding the last piece. Every time I iron it, that little thing flips up, and I don't know why. I did it on the other one too. That's kind of weird. This is the middle row. And here's the last one. Now we'll iron them. Okay, now it looks like this, and nothing needs to be worried or marked, so we're just going to literally nestle them, and that's it to get this block. Now to nestle, all you're doing is you're putting this piece of fabric next to that piece of fabric and pinning it. That's it. See if I can reach over here to pin it. You just pin it like this. Go to the next one, nestle that one, just like this. Just like that, and pin it to hold it down. That's it. Okay, let's go ahead and sew that. I am just buzzing on and not even putting film on. Okay, so we ironed it, and now we have it laid open. That's the way it's going to look. Let's go ahead and finish the rest of our blocks. Okay, and when all is said and done, we have our 4 blocks, and let's go ahead and put this quilt together. We're going to attach these 2 blocks first. I think I'm going to turn this so that my thing is upright. Okay, and then I'll have this one upright. All right, that's the first 2 we're going to put together. We're going to be marking this tip so we don't lose it. So you're going to want to do that first. Mark your tip. Okay, so you're not matching them up to anything. You're only marking the tip so you don't lose them. You're not matching it up or nestling or anything on this very first 2 blocks. Okay, and all I've done is pin things so that they don't flip up on me. That's all. And you can use clips if you prefer. Try not to go over your pins. That's the first 2 blocks on the first row. All right, there's the first 2. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to sew the next 2 together before I combine them with these. Don't forget, you're going to mark your tips as you go along. Anywhere it needs to be marked, you need to be marking it. Don't forget. So far, we're not doing any nestling or anything. Not at these 2 sets here. Okay, this is what you have so far. And now it wants us to put the the star block on the right-hand side over here. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And remember now, we've got to mark those tips. All right, so 3 blocks will be connected on this one. I have 2 on the first one. And then we'll put the sets together, and then we'll end up with 5 strips. I'm trying to figure out what I have that's big enough. I need a larger design wall is what I need. And I don't have room for it. That's the problem. Not enough room. Oh, goodness. There we go. Now let's take a look at it. All right, here's our very first row. Now I have the last 3 blocks, they're sewn together. This one is not sewn together yet, right here. I will sew it, so that's what your top row should look like. All right, okay, let's go ahead and sew that together. All right, don't forget to mark those points. Stay vigilant about that. Okay, here we go. Oops, I forgot my pin cushion here. Hopefully my hands aren't in the way. There we go. We're going to follow our pattern, and this is the second row. We're putting the chain, we're putting the star with our pot of gold, and then we're going to do another chain and the star and another chain. So I'm going to put these 2 together first. All right, since these first 2 are the same, but I went ahead and I changed out that other block. Instead of using the pot of gold, I went ahead and used the one that's got the black background that's got all the writing in it. So I did both of these the same. I made sure I marked them. I've got them both set up to go. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to sew these 2 that I just did, so it'll be 4 together, and I'll just have to add the 1 more. Don't forget to mark, because every time we do something we have to mark tips. This is loaded with the tips now. All the stars will have tips. There we go. Now we have to add a chain block to those, and don't forget, you got to mark these tips again. Everywhere there's a star that gets added, it has tips. We don't want to lose them. Alright, so this is the last block on the second row. I'll iron this and put it up on the design board so you can take a look at it alongside the top row. Alrighty, there's our second row, and you can already see the pattern developing. Alright, I just got it set up there on the design board. Let's work on our third row. Okay, so that's the first 3 blocks. I already had these 2 because I was going to use them for my second row, but I'm using them now for my third, so I'm going to sew them together first. Then I'll attach this one, so I'll have 3 of them, and then I'll attach the last 2, which is the chain. It'll be the chain and then this here at the end. Let's do that now. Alright, so this one first. Alright, let's add that first block to these 2. Alright, here we go. First block to the other 2 blocks that I just did. And you know, just because I'm sewing 2 blocks at a time and adding them doesn't mean that you have to do that. You could actually just do 1 each time. Just add 1 block, then 1 block, then 1 block. You don't have to do it this way. I'm just doing it this way because this is the way I prefer to do it. Just like me using pens. You don't have to use pens either. You can use clips if you want to, or nothing. It's just your preference. Alright. Alrighty, these are the last 2 blocks that'll be attached to the first 3. Right there are our 3 rows on the design board. I can get 1 more row, I think, about right there. Then I got the ironing board in the way, so. And some other stuff. I don't know if I can get all 5, but there's our 3. So let's start on our next row. Alrighty, this row is going to be a chain, a star, a chain, a star, and a chain. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pin the chain and the chain and the star, and then I'm going to wait on my other one. So don't forget, mark your tips. Okay, let's go ahead and get these sewn together. Alright, let's go ahead and iron these open. I'm putting these 2 sets together, and then we'll only have 1 block left to add on. Alrighty, here we go. This is coming along pretty well. It's all going together real nice. There's no hiccups in it, which is always a good thing. It, and I believe I can get this one up on the design board. Alright, so there's the last one I put on there, right there, and there it is. I'm going to try to back up as much as I can. I can't back up that much. Here we go, so you can see it. Let's go ahead and do our last row. Alrighty, we're working on row 5, and in case you didn't know it, I put all those rows together wrong. So I took a break, took it apart, redid the first 4 rows, which go together just like before. When you mark them, you sew them. Now I'm down on number 5, so I don't even know how the heck I saw that paper wrong. But number 5 row starts out with this, and then you get your chain, which is that. And then we're going to put our shoe fly in the middle, so that'll be the 3rd one. And then we're going to repeat the chain and then the last star. So let's go ahead and I'm going to put these 2 together, and then I'll attach this one, and then I'll attach that one last. And sometimes that's what it takes. I had to have all 4 of those rows up before, you know, and I stood there and I looked at it before I even started the 5th row, and I kept looking at it thinking it's off somehow, but I couldn't figure out how the heck it was off. So I was studying, you know, because I thought maybe one of my blocks had been put in the wrong place. And I thought, no, they all look all right. So I went ahead and pulled my pattern down over here and looked at it. And I'm thinking, okay, so I still couldn't figure it out. But, you know, that's the way it is some days in the sewing room. So then I thought, you know what? I must have the blocks in order wrong. Because there's 5 of the dark colored and 4 of the light. And I thought, well, that's got to be a reason for that. So then I looked at it again. And where I had put my dark black, the ones that got the writing that say luck and, I can't even think what all it says, lucky and things like that with the clover. So then I noticed that's what was wrong about it, and that's why it looked kind of weird to me. So it has to have the top row and the bottom row are the same, because the very outer square is actually those dark ones. And then there's one more dark one, which would be in the, I think it's the middle row. Yeah, in the middle. So that's where my whole thing was thrown off. So I just took off what I had to and rearranged it. So now we're working on that last row, which is a duplicate of the very first row. Okay, and I just said what I was going to do wrong too, now that I've pinned the 3rd block. So I had the first 2 blocks sewn together and the last 2. I'm sewing the 3rd block to the first 2 blocks. I don't know what I was thinking when I said I was going to put the 2 together. It didn't make any sense. I needed to put a block in between them. That's what I'm saying. I'm like all twisted today about putting my blocks together and everything. I know what started last night. I cut my finger, not with the rotary cutter, with the darn scissors, believe it or not. I was making making bow cozies, and I'm using where you take a 10-inch square and you make it with that. That's the way I'm doing it. Hold on. Alright, so now we're going to sew this last 2 blocks to the first 3 blocks on the left hand side. I'm going to show you how I cut my finger. I can't believe I did it either. Oh, but anyway, this is what I was going to say. So you take the 10-inch square when you make the bow cozies. I did a video on it. I don't even know where the heck it's at, but it's up there somewhere on the internet, the bow cozy, because I make them a little bit different, because I put a bit of stabilizer, iron stabilizer, which is similar. It's not the stabilizer that I use for the t-shirt quilt, but it's similar because it is it's 100% cotton. It is I was going to say steamable. It is where you iron it on, but you know that goes away when you wash it. And I've always done it like that because when I made it the first time around, the very first one that I ever made, it was too flimsy. After I got it washed and everything, it's sort of like lost its, I guess, like the sizing on your clothing that you would buy. That's about how I kind of match up what I'm trying to figure out, what I'm trying to say. All right, here's the last one. I just got it sitting right here on the table because I can't get it on that design board. But anyway, the sizing, when you buy clothes, hold on. Okay, when you buy your clothes out at the store, like a blouse or a dress or whatever, it has sizing in it. That's what gives it the body, and that's why it feels the way it does, and it looks the way it does when you first purchase it. And when you come home, of course, the first thing you do after you either get it dry cleaned or you get it washed, all of a sudden it like goes limp on you, and you wonder, well, what the heck did they have on it? That's why you end up starching or whatever. You're trying to put the sizing back in it. Well, to avoid all that, because you don't want to have to go and starch your kobosy, you don't want to iron your kobosy and all that, so that's why I put that, just that little bit of extra for body. So anyway, here I am cutting the, when you fold them together, for those that don't know, Hold on, I'll go get a piece of fabric really quick to give you a demonstration. Now keep in mind, this is demonstration only. This isn't sewn or anything. So the thickness is like this. Okay, so you have your fabric, you have your, right there is the next piece, and that is sewn to the, that is ironed on to the fabric, and then you have your batting, whatever size batting you use. Now, I just use this, and it's all 100% cotton. Everything has got to be 100% cotton when you make a bow cozy, because if you use anything synthetic, it will catch on fire. If you use polyester threads, they'll literally melt in the microwave and the bowl will fall apart. Okay, now, moving forward. So you got an idea how thick this is. This is 2 layers of everything. I took these scissors right here, which are, let's see if I can get you to read them. They are Kai, and let's see if you can, you probably could read that. But these are very, very sharp, and so of course I had the fabric like this, holding it like that, and I took my scissors like that and went up, and when I went up, let's see if you can see my finger right here, I cut my finger just like that inward, so it got sliced like this, right into my finger, right there. And I did that on the very first bow cozy. So I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, okay, well, it's going to bleed any minute and I'm going to have to stop because I'm not getting blood on my project. And I didn't think I could stop it, so I'm watching it, okay? It never bled. So I didn't, it still was stuck to my finger. I didn't lift it up to look at it, okay? So it never bled the entire time. And then when I got done, I put enough pressure when I put the bow cozies together that it actually split open a little bit, and then it started bleeding. So I was done for the night. And I just finished all my bow cozies. I finished ironing them and everything. So I was done. And then I thought I'd get up here early and I would start the Fort Worth Fabric Studios quilt, because I know that it's, not only did I have to make the 4 blocks, but then in addition to those blocks, I had to turn around and I've got to put the binding on. The binding. Oh, brother. Oh, the fastening, the border, the border fabric. I'm ready for it to be done. I'm telling you right now. So anyway. So I got the 4 up there, and I love the way those teeny weeny little squares, which are considered the chain, I like the way that looks. But like I said, you can go back in the film and you can see where I put it together wrong, and for the life of me, I never saw it until I got it on the board and I was standing back here looking at it, trying to figure out, well, why did it look like it was off? And then, of course, you can't, since I only had 5 of the dark squares, or the stars, okay, the inside of the star, which was the dark color, and I thought, well, shoot, I won't even have enough to balance it out. I'd have to like throw it off a little bit, which, I don't have a problem with that, but I thought, no, I like the way it looked. I want to make exactly the way that she made it is the way that I wanted to make it. I didn't want to change it. So that's when I thought, well, you know what, I got to go back, I got to pick apart whatever and put it back together. So I did all that offline, because putting it together is the same exact way. Whether you put your blocks right or wrong, it makes no difference. And if you're not even using this kit and you're using your own fabric, you're going to do what you want to do anyway. Okay, and maybe every one of your little squares up there, like right there that I'm pointing to, maybe all of yours are light, or maybe all of yours are dark, or maybe you fussy cut it all yours, which is fine too, because you can do whatever you want with yours. So that's where we're at right now. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to attach all the rows. So you're going to be mindful of whatever you have to mark, because you do not want to lose any of your tips. Standing this far back, if you lost a tip, you're never going to even see it. But for yourself, if you're learning and you want to do it so that you don't lose any of your tips, be sure and mark every one of those little tips. Okay? And then you can stop, and like I said, you can always use a larger thread length when you go over it if you think you're too close. But if you mark it with your pen, and you don't even need to use a pen, you can use a pencil, you can use any kind of marker you want, whatever you have. Okay, so let's go ahead and we're going to put the rows together so we can put the side, which the pieces I have cut out right here. Oh, they're over this direction on the table here. So that's the last 2 strips that we're going to add to it. But let's go ahead and put all the rows together. Maybe once I get the rows together, See, I have a hard time getting above that piece of board right there. I already have a little step stool. I hate to say it, I'm vertically challenged, and every year I feel like I'm getting shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter. And my grandmother ended up being under 5 foot when, by the time she was 90 something, she was under 5 foot. And if I make it to 90 something, I'll be underneath 5 foot too, also, because I'm 5 foot now. At least I say I'm 5 foot. My kids already say I'm under 5, but who wants to listen to kids? They don't know nothing. Parents know everything. All right, let's get back to work. Alrighty, there it is on the design wall. It's all completed. I don't think I made any boo-boos now that I redid it. And now we just need to put our side fabric on there. And we're going to do that next. Now normally I pin my side borders on the top of the fabric, but I don't want to be losing any tips. Therefore, my fabric is at the bottom and I've got my tips forward. And all I do is normally I will do the sides and then I will do the top last. So I'll do my right side and my left side only because I'm right-handed and then left-handed. I mean right-handed. If you want to do the left instead, that's fine. If you want to do the top and bottom instead, that's fine too. Whatever your preference is. And all I did was pinned it, and as I pinned it, I marked it. I first sewed 2 pieces together. There's going to be plenty left over when you're finished, so don't worry about that. Thinking that you got too much fabric. You should have 6 strips cut. I tried to get my camera far enough back so it won't be in the way here. And then all I did was the straight stitch. I did not do the angled stitch. You can, because there's plenty of fabric to do that, but I like to just do the straight. I don't have that problem with it. It blends right in. I did make sure that I tried to make my fabric kind of go the same way. Although it is going either way. The leprechauns are going up and down, so it's not like they're all going one specific direction. But if you have directional fabric, you're going to want to pay attention to yours when you do this section. This part right here. And if you were going to make yours bigger, you could do between the strips here, you could actually do some little blocks or some, you could do a piano strip, or you could just about do anything. Realize I'm not even going to be able to finish this video tonight. I don't have anybody to hold it up so you can see it, and when I put these sides on, it'll be too big for my design board, or my design wall, I should say, not board. And Sherry works until after, I think, 6 on Saturdays. I'm not quite sure, but Megan is with her boyfriend, so she's not here. So it's just me, and the dogs can't hold it up. They're more vertically challenged than I am. So don't pull it too tight, or you'll have a ripple effect, and you don't want that, so be mindful of that. Not that the outside part that I'm putting on is the part that gives, it's actually the fabric itself. The blocks, they're the ones that got the give in them, not this border fabric. And then what I'll do is I will go ahead and I'll iron this open before I cut it, so that I can make sure it's on there correctly, because I wouldn't want to have a mistake right now, cut it off, then find out I'm short because it puckered, or I got a pleat or something like that in when I did it. Not that I've done that, but just in case that did happen. Okay, so it does look good. So what I'll do is I'll lay it like this. That's the fold right there. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm putting my line across here, and then I'll cut it off. Like that. Now you can do it this way. Now I'll show you another way to do it. I'm taking it and I'm laying the fabric on the table so that I can flip the fabric that I just sewed back on itself like that so that the right sides are together. Okay, and then go like this and cut it to match up, or if you don't want to do it that way because it feels like it's blind, and that, by that I mean you can't see it, the fabric, then lay it like this and put this down on top of it like that, and then go across it like that. Okay, you can do it either way. Now I'm going to go ahead and do the other side before I do the top and the bottom. Alrighty, here you go. This is it. Hopefully I got most of it in the camera. I'm backed up as far as I can go. All the sides and the top is on. I'm just slowly going up with it so you can see it on the camera. Hopefully that's it. There we go. There, it's totally assembled. I love it. It is actually darling. And Sherry's already said, let's make a shirt, let's make a skirt, let's make a this, let's make it that. She likes it too.
I think it's pretty.
Thanks for joining me this time around. I appreciate it. And welcome to all the new subscribers on my channel. And I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye, everybody.